Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Forever in a Day Season 2 Aftershow. I am one of your hosts, Matthew Preston, and I'm actually joined with a new co-host. We've kind of been having a few of those lately, and hey, he was actually on the show last week as a guest. He also is the creator of Forever in a Day, the podcast soap opera, the soapcast, I guess we can call it, that you all should be listening to, and we know that you are listening to. So let's bring him on, Casey Hutchinson. Hi, Casey.
Hi, everybody. How are you, Matthew?
I'm fantastic that I get to do the show with you because you're kind of like God in a way. You're like the FAAD God, FAAD God.
I was gonna say, because look, I am a God-fearing man, so if a lightning bolt strikes down in this podcast, Matthew said that, not me.
So, Casey, can you tell us who we have on as a guest today?
Well, we have the dashing, the absolutely passionate and kind, the best of the best, a new cast member to this season, and that is Aaron Clark, who plays Stephen Langenfeld.
Stephen, I love that name, and we're going to learn so much about him. So let's bring on Aaron. Everybody, welcome Aaron Clark to our fun little show. Hello, Aaron.
Woohoo!
Hey guys,
how are you?
How are we? I'm good. I'm really good.
First off, I have to say I love your background setting. It looks very woodsy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
so
it's
Aaron,
a fun environment.
It definitely looks like a fun environment. It looks.
I got a bonsai tree over my shoulder. It's good luck.
Oh, it's nice! I love bonsais.
Yeah.
Very, very zen. So, Aaron, you are the new kid on the block. You are a new cast member. I believe you came in about 4 episodes ago. 4, maybe 5.
4 or 5. Yeah, last fall.
Yeah, and
it was October.
You are already, your character, Stephen, has, oh my gosh, you have been stirring up so much trouble for Melanie.
You know, I really have. Yeah, it's a fun thing. I'll be honest. It's been fun diving into that space, and you know, creating a connection like that is an actor's dream, actually, because that's where just so much of the work is applied.
Yeah, and tell us more about you. I want to know, where are you from originally, how you got into acting, and also, do you have any connection to soap operas?
So I'm from Missouri originally, a little rural town called Cleveland. So I commonly joke, you know, Cleveland, it's not just in Ohio, because no one knows where Cleveland, Missouri's at. Maybe a town of, 1,000 people, 2,000 people. I, was moved out of there as a kid when I was 10. But it's roughly 20 minutes south of Kansas City, where we were. And then my father got transferred for his career. We went out to Utah. So the rest of my time growing up and adolescence was spent over in that state, in the Rocky Mountains. Some years later, after arriving in that state, maybe 9 years later, so at 19 years old is when I decided that I'm going to approach acting as a passion and a career. So at 19. However, to be honest with you, I can still picture where I was standing on our Missouri property as, I believe, a 3-year-old boy making my first declaration to the universe that I'm going to grow up and be an actor. So this is something that I've wanted to do my entire life. And it's been an interesting journey for me because it's like I began and I went for some time, and then I just simply wasn't ready, and I stepped out of it. I went back out in the world and did all kinds of different jobs and business ventures, attempted anyway. And really, long story short, it was just one fail after the next. And it was quite honestly acting that pulled me back in. I had stepped out. I was done. I decided on something different, but the yearning was still there. It's like I commonly say, if this is in your blood, you cannot do any other kind of work. It's just not possible. You can't do it. Perhaps you guys can relate. Casey, you're a writer. It looks like to me it's in your core. what else can you do when this is what you are and this is how you're built?
Amen. And I will say, I think you certainly made the correct declaration to the world, because here you are and you are lighting the show on fire. And, it was such a thrill to work with you last year, to get these episodes going and bringing you on. And Aaron didn't miss a beat. And I think that's very clear in the work that he's turned in with what's been aired so far.
So what was it about Aaron's audition that drew you to him?
So Aaron's audition is actually kind of a funny story. And I've never told Aaron this story. So
listen, this is why we have the after show. Because,
because
you can spill the tea, spill that tea.
Yes.
Yeah,
so anyway,
spill it, Casey.
Literally, as he's drinking, probably tea is my guess.
Always. But anyway, so we do the audition. He had a basically kind of chem test reading with Beth. And, it was mostly like exposition and, it was just an audition scene, whatever. They do it. It was great. I passed it off to Candace. She loved it. But sometime in that time frame of us finishing up and me passing it off to Candace, I get this text from Beth Ellers, who, of course, plays Melanie. And she goes, "Wow, what the hell was that?" And I was like, "I know, right?" And she was like, "He's so good. Pick him." And so it was just this
I didn't know that
thing from day one. Yeah. So Beth loved doing that audition with him. And, Aaron, before we had stumbled upon him, we were just looking at like other headshots and other resumes, but he was the first and only person that did an audition for this role, because we knew that after his audition, we didn't have to look any further. And so I think, that certainly speaks to Aaron's talents as a whole, that he got this character, he understood this character from just an audition, and he ran with it, and it was great.
I love that.
I didn't know some of it. I didn't know all of that.
So then I guess my question to you, Aaron, is also, I need to ask that follow-up question. What was your audition? What was your, I guess, process for the audition? I also want to know, how did you get the audition? And also, what kind of soap? Did you have any sort of, were you a fan of soaps? Were you, like, how did this soap world kind of enter you?
By surprise, really, out of left field. That's right. You had asked if I had any connection with the soap world. The answer is no, none whatsoever.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, now you do, though. But you do now.
I do now. Grew up much like I know, Casey, you have, watching soaps and being a fan of soaps. But I really didn't expect the soaps to come into my space. It was literally a surprise, like a very beautiful surprise. And, I didn't really see myself doing a voiceover. It wasn't really on my radar. The way it all came in and the way it showed up and just the way it boom, 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 lined up and flowed into my space so gracefully, that right there told me that I'm very clearly in the right spot at the right time. It was just one of those synchronistic events. There's flow involved. It was seamless. I didn't seek it out. You guys came to me. So, and Casey had found my headshots and my reel clips on backstage.com.
Mm-hmm.
So, formerly Backstage West magazine back in the day before the internet.
Know it well.
So, yeah, that's where I was found. And so Casey reached out over the Instagram platform and invited me to do an audition for the show. And turns out he wanted me to memorize a monologue and self-tape it and turn that back in. So I did. And I remember the monologue was very interesting because the whole construction of it, the writing of it was not, it was a major focus of my work at the time, and still is. Like, this is ongoing. This kind of work is always ongoing, and that's connecting, from the heart space with the scene partner. That's what I was really wanting to build a stronger bridge too. So I memorized the monologue. I set up the camera, just did it on mobile, and it was one take and I was done. I hit all the beats I wanted to. The emotions came, brought the tears. I tried it a second time, and my second time wasn't as good. So somehow, whatever was flowing through me at the time, I hit everything that I wanted to do one time, closed it out, emailed Casey. That was that.
Oh, wow.
And
I love stories like that.
I will say that, Aaron just described what mostly the audition process is for this show. First and foremost, it's always a monologue. Matthew, I remember you did yours with me and Candace on a video chat call with you.
No, time out. First off, I had a meeting. It was, for me, it was like, and I remember I was in my, probably in my boxers or like my underwear or something, and watching General Hospital, and you all were like, so are you interested in being part of our show? And I was like, well, I guess, yeah, sure. And then you gave me a script, and then it was like, go ahead and go.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Christina did a monologue, and the purpose of that monologue, only one of those monologues has ended up in the actual show. It's not really, a purpose to get it in a script or something like that. The purpose is to see if they latch on to the character with the exposition given, because, I always give a little blurb at the top of the page before you go into the monologue. And so it's to see if they can get it. Because I find that with a monologue, by just reading a blurb about it and stuff like how we do on our show, very few actors can understand where to take it. And Aaron was one of those actors who understood where to take it. Just make it yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Just do it for you and do it for the material. And Aaron is one person who understands that better than anybody, much like yourself, Matthew.
I love it. I forget what acting teacher, it might have been Uta Hagen or it might have been Michael Shurtleff, but it was when they were talking about monologues, they said, know what you're talking about. And it's so true. Because whenever you do know, you do have that grasp, then the character comes through it. So, Aaron, here on the After Show, we like to play little games with our guests. So for you, because of Steven, we know that Steven has a past with Melanie. They have a kid who is pretty sure, without giving any spoilers, if you haven't already known, it's Connor.
Look,
Connor.
If somebody
Connor
hasn't listened to the show by now, we're like 25 episodes in. So
shame on them at that point.
And something else that we really don't know. I mean, we don't know if Steven is a villain. Is he a user, a lover? Does he really have these strong feelings for what? We don't know what. So maybe we'll get into your head when we play a little game with you called Maybe Baby. So this is how. Yes, maybe, baby. This is how we're going to play the game. So Casey and I, we're going to throw at you some situations. We want you to put your Steven brain on, and we want you to think Steven. We're gonna give you a situation that Steven would be in, and we want to know, would he actually do this? So we'll say maybe or nah. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
Okay, I'll go first. So would Steven maybe embarrass Melanie in front of the Harpers if given the opportunity?
Depends on the outcome.
Okay.
Steven has the ultimate goal to win his girl back. So if this can be advantageous, then maybe.
There we go. That is how you play this game. Okay, Casey, give us another one.
Alrighty. So as we know, which we'll get into more with the episodes, which we got into more with the episodes that have previously aired, Donovan and Steven have met each other. And so my question to you is, if Donovan confronts Steven later on, do you think that Steven would end up getting in a fist fight with him?
Very possibly. From the Steven standpoint, not afraid of it. It's hit a barrier, I feel, to where Steven would likely throw some fists if necessary. It's reached a certain boiling point. And not only in Steven's opinion, but in Aaron's opinion as well, rightfully so. Here this guy is who's come all the way back from out of state. He's changed his entire life to come back to what he feels is his family, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. So on that same sort of level, maybe even referencing, old times, hundreds of years ago, how men used to, duke things out, or so history tells us anyways. Maybe that would be in order to defend the fort, to defend the family. Steven he's an educated man. He's a political media figure. So tossing the fists around for no reason, not his style. But when it comes to defending his honor, it's a maybe in all capitals.
Interesting.
I like that. Casey, by the way, you and I are on the same page. Hopefully I don't have the squares next to me. We were on the same page because that was actually one of my maybe questions that I was going to. So here's another one for you, Aaron.
Okay.
Would Steven maybe out this whole situation to Danielle and trash.com?
No, not Steven style.
Ooh.
Oh, that was quick.
Ooh.
He's a classy gent.
Ooh.
Oh.
I love that. Casey, your turn. Hit us with another maybe question.
Okay. So, Steven. Oh, well, Aaron, as we all know.
You got it. No, listen, Aaron, we've done this before in the show. It happens all the time. We call characters actors, characters actors.
As I like to call it, Matthew-itis.
It's
so
true.
Anyway, Aaron.
All the time.
So, of course, Melanie has a sister, the always drunk and always rich Elaine. So do you believe that Steven would ever fall in love with Melanie's sister?
No. The roots are too deep with Melanie.
Wow.
Steven is very much monogamous. Man's on a mission.
I agree.
The man's on a mission. It's one woman, one life. That's it.
Wow.
Are you going to say that, Casey, or am I going to say it? They only have one life to live, so.
Well, they've got, no, you know what?
Are you going to say they got forever in a day? Or are you going to say they got forever in a day?
And yes, and then I was like, God, what's the point anymore?
Well, that's how you play, baby. I love it. You have such a good grasp on your character. That's amazing.
That's something I was taught very, very well from my acting teacher, was to create layers upon layers upon layers. I could even say that really the other way around. It's layer under layer under layer under layer of background, of history, of perspectives, of intentions. Where did they grow up? What do they love? What do they hate? What are the joys? What are the disgusts? What are the quirks? What are the thoughts that are going on between, verbalizing anything and just stepping into this skin suit that's developed and simply embodying it and coming from that space. And then, out comes the line, out comes the characteristics. And there's Steven. That's how he comes alive. Wow.
Well, Casey, it's come to that point in the show where we have to recap the episodes. Aaron, do we have time? Do you want to stay on and recap some episodes with us? You totally can.
Sure.
I love it.
I'm here.
I mean, we're going to talk about what happened in the past two episodes, which, by the way, Steven was not in.
Nope.
No.
Not those.
I was sad about that. So the first plot that we got to talk about is, of course, the resolving cliffhanger about Emma whose life was hanging in the balance after having her baby. Well, it turns out that Emma is awake and Colin is worried, but Mama Lou is on his side. And not only is she on his side to help him out, she's also helping out Emmy. Let's discuss. Casey, I just want to know, I have to say, first off, Lucinda, or Mama Lou, who I like to call, that she was just, her character has kind of done such a turnaround for me, because instead of being this manipulator that we kind of think that she is, because we really don't know if she is a manipulator, but she cares about her family and her daughter, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. So, I feel like Lucinda, she's a character that everybody loves, kind of the richness that she brings to the show, because, she is outrageous. We're just going to say it, she is outrageous, and she's supposed to be, because, Emma is kind of more toned down. Emma is more like her father, if her father was still alive. And so she's always despised how her mother is just so extra. But, in this episode, we had to also explore a mother's, emotion of her daughter going into a postpartum hemorrhage after giving birth to her baby and almost dying. And, Lucinda, much like Colin, didn't know if she was alive or not. And so, we really had to explore a mother's love, no matter how outrageous this character is. And, Claire did a fabulous job in these scenes. She rocked, as usual.
Well, let me tell you, something else that I would really love to see would have been, this is like, possible plot in the future, interaction between Stephen and Colin. I mean, this is pretty huge, or Connor, we should say Connor. I guess my question for Aaron is, does this makes him a grandfather? Yeah. Does this?
Yeah. I mean, it is Colin's son. So yeah.
So then Stephen is a grandfather, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know.
At this point, no.
There you go. I wish, I don't know. I wish that maybe in the future they'll know.
I will tell you, it was so funny. When I was post-producing this episode that we're talking about now, there was a point in their narration where I said, Colin stands from the chair. And I did say Connor because his next line was saying Connor. And I'm like, God, there is too many Connor Colin. And, it's really Colin's real name, but he doesn't know that. Now it's the baby's name. Yeah. So even I get tripped up as the narrator in post-production.
Oh my gosh. Aaron, by the way, what do you think of, I call her Mama Lou. What do you think of this Lucinda, this grande dame richness that she's bringing to the table?
Oof. From a Steven standpoint, that's he's not going to go for that very well. No, that's a little much. That's a little much.
Too pretentious to Steven.
Yeah, not quite Steven style. Similar backgrounds in some ways. So, Steven's perspective, he understands it. It's not abnormal given the world of politics, not by any measure, but not his style. No.
Yeah, she's too much. Mama Lou is just too much.
Overdrawn, overbearing.
When Candace and I first discussed that character, I said to her, I've said, Emma's mother needs to be like Norma Desmond for daytime. And we just
you got that. And ding dong, you found it.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually go to some more Harpers, which is Melanie. No, Melanie's not Melanie. So we have Melanie. She smells something a little suspicious on Elizabeth's breath.
Elaine's.
Elaine, oh my God, I did it again. Oh my God, I did it again. Elaine's, it's the ease. It's the ease that you did it. Okay, you hired somebody with Elizabeth and it's playing Elaine. It happens. Anyway, she smells on Elaine's breath, some booze, and she calls her out on it. And then in doing so, Melanie ends up in the hospital after she sees notices Antoine, doesn't remember who he is, but then she goes to the hospital. And while she's at the hospital, Dr. Becker, who's, by the way, is becoming like the only doctor that is in Augustus, not complaining, just saying, says that Melanie needs to go in for some more MRI test.
MRI.
There you go.
For an MRI. Yeah. Just one MRI, but
just one MRI. So
look,
much.
Those hospital bills, healthcare here in Illinois, it's rough. So it better be just one MRI. But yeah, and this isn't the first time that Melanie's gone to the hospital after a fight with Elaine. As Dr. Becker even said, I saw you last year for your panic attack, where you temporarily lost your vision. So, it's interesting. And, Beth and Liz, who play Elaine and Melanie, of course.
Elizabeth.
They got that scene in one take, which was amazing. And I love those women so much. They're so great with one another.
They really are. Oh, they really are. I mean, Aaron, I guess my question for you is, what is it like to do scenes with the great Beth Ehlers? So lucky.
I really am. You tell you the truth, it tripped me out a little bit when I first was cast, learning that I was going to go back and forth with a formerly a soap star, guiding light and what Beth has been on. She's been in the game for so long. And, this being truly my first actual professional job in the industry, to be matched up with her was, a little, really? You're not lying to me, Casey?
I love it.
Of course not. Surely not. Of course not. That's been really neat. I've noticed that. I'm sorry. What was the last part?
You two have such great chemistry together, and I love it.
Yeah, and that made me think about earlier when we were talking about the audition process. Casey, you mentioned the table read, if you will, is over Zoom. And Beth and I, we clicked. I remember that we were going back and forth, basically in character, back and forth, joking back and forth, finding that groove before we even read the script.
Yeah.
Like nice. The chemistry was already there before we even did any work. So it's one of those really rare, I guess, but incredible connections that just flowed well. So that was a really neat thing. And it's just been an honor to work with someone who's been in the game for as long as she has the experience that she does. And when we do the work, one thing I've noticed consistently with Beth is her relaxation and just flow of experience, because she's done this for so long.
Yeah.
My first couple episodes, 2 or 3, I admit I was rather nervous, not just going back and forth with Beth, but the whole the production in itself. Soon enough, nerves died down, and I was in a groove. But I noticed that right up front with Beth, that there was almost sort of an expectation, which was found because of the experience. She's done this for as long as she has.
Mm-hmm.
Most certainly. Alrighty, so Matthew, of course, our next plot, after the whole Melanie visiting the hospital fiasco, Elaine smelling like wet dog breath or something like that, we get into Alex and Leslie. So this is one of my favorite stories from this past week of episodes. So as Emma is giving birth, Alex is kind of giving getting live updates from Lucinda about what's happening. And Leslie is offended by this because she's like, have we time traveled back in time? I thought you were done with all things Emma. And Alex is like, oh, I was, but there's this. And Leslie's like, look, I feel bad for her as a mother, but why are you getting live news updates like it's 60 Minutes, special with Jane Pauley or something? So Matthew, then of course, they fight about this. It's this huge fight, which leads to Leslie asking Alex to go pack a bag. So what did you think about that?
I think it's great because these two, this couple in particular, in my opinion, and not because I'm I love the Bennetts because I play a Bennett. No, I think that they're not meant to be together, and we know it. I think in my heart of hearts, as a fan, everybody knows. And she kind of said it. Leslie said it in the last episode. She said, "Do you remember whenever I could have went back with Colin and I chose you?" That was those are some big words. Huge. I was kind of blown away by that because I always go, I guess my question for Aaron is, especially if you know the Leslie character, do you agree with me? Do you think she can be a brat sometimes?
Yep.
Thank you. He's on my side.
The Leslie
That's not
hate
just Steven's perspective.
I go back and forth with her, but in this case, I do. I agree with her, and I think that she needs to, if they're gonna break up, go after Colin, even though it's gonna be tough too because Colin's having a kid. Why do you do this to us, Casey?
Because I have 30 pages to fill on a script and something's got to happen.
This is true.
Writer's answer.
Yeah. But I writing this like monologue for Leslie, and really the whole scene, I actually kind of talked to my mother about these scenes because I wanted to get her perspective on what it feels like for a woman who loves a man so much but feels as though he can't give that love in return. And I asked her some questions. I was like, kind of put away what you feel about soap opera, because my mom, she's been a fan of soap since she was like 5 years old. But I said, put away about the soap opera and the over-the-top plot line to get here. Does this feel honest to you? And she said, yeah, it does. And I think that's the biggest thing is that, with the Leslie hate and with, Leslie being a brat and with this outrageous plot line to kind of get us to where it is because it's got to be on some level of soap opera. But, as long as we can still make the Leslie character feel honest to women out there who have gone through these thoughts and feelings before of not being loved by a man they give so much to, then that alone just makes me happy as a writer. And I think Kalia conveys so much emotion in a scene, especially these past scenes, in order to get it there and make it believable. In my opinion, it was all very much believable on her end and even on his end. I kind of went back and forth between rooting for both of them because I got both of their points. And I think that's what made this argument so real is they both had points to give that were honest to their characters.
And we still don't know what happens because it ended kind of on a cliffhanger where I believe Leslie was telling Isaac, she was confiding in her father about her marriage woes. And he was saying, like, what are you going to do about this? And she says, I don't know. I think we were kind of on the outs. And it was a very powerful ending. But from endings comes new beginnings, because the last episode we saw that JJ and Antoine might be a thing, a new couple on the horizon in Augustus. But JJ tells his sister Danielle that he's fallen, or he's liking, I shouldn't say fallen, he's liking her nemesis, I should say. And she says, nope, ain't gonna happen.
She said, not no, but hell no. And, I love this. Love this. But Aaron, let's go to you on this. I mean, what are your thoughts on Danielle just getting in the way when people are just trying to find love?
She's looking for that herself. She's got her own agenda, man. She's, Hey, and on one hand, really applaud that because this is a soap opera. We're all in our soapboxes and we're demanding what we want, what we don't want, what others should be doing versus not doing. And she's wedging herself in there.
Yeah, she is.
Probably
And
for those same
she's
reasons.
right there.
I will
Yeah,
also
yeah.
say though, we did see a really softer, sweet side to Danielle, because in the last episode, she kind of says, that doesn't really sound like Antoine not to return calls. And she didn't have to say that. She could have just said, I told you, it kind of going back to like a little bit of a Leslie thing with Isaac and Stephanie, when she would say, like, she could have said to her dad, I told you about Stephanie. And it could have been the same situation there, which I thought was nice. And the whole reason why we know, as we were talking about earlier, is that Antoine was by Melanie's side. So I'm just like, whenever I saw that, I was like, oh, I see. And I heard it. And I said, oh, I see what they're doing here. This whole plot point of this is why they can't be, they're not, you already are making trouble for these two.
Well, and, I feel like if Danielle didn't level with JJ there for a moment, then all the gray area of that character would have been taken away. When Tom Racina, who of course is an amazing story consultant to our show, I mean, to say that, Candace and I get to create story with the man who married Luke and Laura on General Hospital, that's amazing. But, he has kind of instilled in us that you need gray parts of a character. They can't all be, one way or another. You've got to create realism in them as they go about these issues. And I think it all ties back to not only Tom instilling that in us, but also Agnes Nixon once saying about the 40th anniversary of One Life to Live. She said back then that one day you're dealing with a marriage crumbling and the next you're dealing with angels. And somehow you have to make it all believable. So yes, Danielle hates Antoine. And yes, she's going to be the messy Danielle we all know and love, but we still have to make her believable. And the way you do that is, she says, you know what? He would have called and texted you back. This isn't like him. Maybe something is going on.
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe Danielle, the real Danielle, the trash.com Danielle, would have just been like, maybe we could have got like a little, we will talk about her coming up, little Sky moment where she talks to herself and she kind of says, should I tell him? Nah, I'll let him find out on his own. I don't know. Like, maybe
I'm not saying that Danielle's messiness is over forever.
I think I'm just evil. I'm just an evil person.
I mean, it's not going to end tomorrow. I mean, just like, Stephen caring for Melanie, there are certain things that can't go away by the next episode. You've got to play those beats. So just like Stephen's love for Melanie, Danielle's messiness is so not over.
Oh my God. And something else that is not over, because we mentioned her earlier, Sky being Sky. She is being a little bit of a psychopath, I guess you should say that, as we have come to know into the soap world, because she is taking her vengeance for Lakin a step further. She sets her plot into motion by telling, I believe it was trash.com. Was it trash.com? It was trash.com. The story about outing Lakin and Caitlin, Lakin and Caitlin, the ends, Lakin and Caitlin. And then also, they had already gotten into a fight because of Sky. This is huge.
Well, so yeah, this is one of the biggest long-term plots on the show. The stalker story, as we all know, has been literally going on since episode 3. Like literally since episode 3. And now, here we are all this time later, and we're getting into the thick of things, after Caitlin and Lakin thinking they were, safe from it all because they hadn't heard anything in a long time. After they confronted Danielle about knowing the truth. But, here it is. just as they're fighting over Sky, who they don't know is the Augustus stalker, Sky is ruining their lives because Lakin is getting too much in the way. And so it's just, as their relationship is crumbling, they now have to find a way to deal with this huge secret coming out.
And Aaron, I guess my question for you is, do you think it's always good to bring an ex? Can you be friends with your ex? This is a big question. Can you be friends with an ex?
That's that $1 million question. I don't know. We seem to try, but it generally doesn't work. So it's kind of a yes before it's a no. I don't know. Maybe. There's another maybe.
Another maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like, Aaron, we are learning so much about each other, which is fantastic. I love that. I think
right, we are.
That's what we like to do here on the after show. But I do appreciate Sky's villainous approach. She makes the town interesting, and she really has. She's gone for the jugular. I feel bad for Lakin and Caitlin.
I love it so much. And, I remember when we were recording that episode, I told Mackenzie, I was like, Mackenzie Bell, who plays Sky, I said, you're kind of becoming like the queen of these standalone scenes, because she's been talking to herself for like the past 8 episodes. And I said, look, I promise you'll get a scene partner soon. You just got to do these. And so she's done them quite well.
It's very kind of Sunset Beach.
Yeah, very, Sammy Brady on days, when she sold Belle on the black market, her sister, and, she kept talking to herself. And I'm like, Sammy, why are you talking to yourself in the middle of the house? At least Sky does it at her home alone, but Sammy lived with her whole family. It's like, girl, Marlena could walk in at any moment.
Oh my gosh. So, and speaking of walking in, Jonah has been showing up into Miranda's life. Like showing up at her appointment with Avery. But Miranda has been getting busy with Andrew until Jonah sees Andrew with Miranda, and it ticks her off. It did. It ticked her off.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so Aaron, do you think it's right for somebody, to chase after an ex if they still have feelings for them, even though they were in the wrong?
Ooh, if I say yes, of course, I'm defending Steven like crazy in various layers. However, my best answer to that truly would be, if the love and the passion really is still there, hey, past the past, go for it, because you never know. I can't deny that if I were in that situation myself personally, that I wouldn't go for that.
That was a very Steven answer too.
It's true. Hey man, at this point, Aaron, Steven,
like
we do it again. This is what happens on the show. We just mix because our brains and we're like robots. I don't know, but I will say, I think that it might have been the last whenever the mini confrontation between Jonah and Andrew happens. I think that Jonah had one of the best lines, which was like, "Oh, you're screwing my ex-wife. Please call me Jonah," or something. I love that line.
It's just, look, I tell you, when Candace and I, sometimes we got to fill those 30 pages and sometimes we just don't have it. And, we're up way too late and we're probably thinking about Guiding Light from, a plot line of that show from the 80s. And
who came up with that line? Was that you?
That was, yeah.
Oh, that was good. I feel like you were kind of channeling some Beverly McKinsey as Alexandra, like talking to Mindy.
Sounds like it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, sometimes those lines come to you, when you're in the thick of a scene and, you're just writing it as it goes along. And, we think back to when we did talk about on a previous after show, with how you were loving all the one-liners that Elizabeth Von Isser gets, as Elaine, especially when she's kind of talking down in a way to Melanie. So yeah, I mean, it just happens. But I think that also comes from a place of honesty because, Jonah's turned into a messy bitch. I mean, he cannot let Miranda go in it. Delusional, yeah. I mean, my God, he goes into the house and Miranda was like, what the hell were you doing at the house?
What are you doing here? Like, why are you in the house, you crazy?
She's like, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh. So we have one more plot to talk about, I believe. We're not forgetting anything. We got one more, though. And it's another villainess, Dominique. She, like Skye, she's getting, and also maybe like Donovan, I'll say that, has gotten a little bit violent with her threats. And she threatens Gregory by sending a letter opener with red paint. And she has a couple of packages with names on it, and they're all related to Gregory, which means she's out for red paint. Blood.
Well, look, I'll tell you what happened. She was getting ready to move into an apartment and she was painting the bathroom or something, and she had some leftover paint. So why not get revenge on somebody who wronged you? But Benjamin Bryant, every time I record a scene with him, he just has so much fun. Like, it lights up in his eyes to get scenes like this, where, scenes that advance his plot line. And this was a big one because, he's not the only target anymore. All of the marshals are kind of a target as well. And like you said, Matthew, it all stems from him still not paying Dominique back. And he's kind of running from his problems. In my opinion, he hasn't dealt with them yet. And so it will be interesting to see as we go on here throughout the rest of the season, will he pay for what he did, or will he just pay Dominique back?
She's the ultimate pimp. She really is. And she's like, I want my money, or I'm going to send you a little bit of messages to say, you better give him my money. And if you don't have my money, it's not going to be good.
Godfather style right there, man.
Right?
Right? Yes. Like, she is not afraid of anything. And I love...
He's the Don.
Yes. Lauren B. Martin. My God, what an amazing woman that is, because she plays it all. And, I was a huge fan of Lauren from her days at As the World Turns, where she played Camille. And, when she came on this little show, she fell in love with the character right away. She was like, oh my God, that's so delicious and messy. And I was like, well, nobody but you can play this role, in my opinion. And she has showed up and showed out for the best.
She sure has. Oh my gosh. Casey, am I missing anything? Are there any other plots? I believe that's it, correct?
Yeah, I think
that was
it. Now tomorrow, though, is the mid...
You're giving us a preview, or are you giving us a little bit of a preview?
Well, I'm trying to.
He never does. No, Aaron can attest to this. They don't tell, like, Aaron, oh my gosh, Casey and Candace, they tell us nothing. We try, but they don't.
We give you guys, like,
you can't blame them. It's like, consistent cliffhangers, It's got to be. The show must be revealed in the way that it must be.
I love it. Well, Casey, What are you going to give us? What kind of little juicy tidbits can we get from you?
Well, it's the mid-season finale tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. It's one of the biggest episodes yet because, like I said, mid-season finale. So we're halfway through this season. You know what the cliffhangers are. I will say, though, that last 5 minutes, just put your listening ears on, listen very closely to every piece of dialogue, And I think the listeners will not be disappointed with tomorrow's episode. I think it's going to keep them on the edge of their seats.
Gonna hook you.
That is quite a spoiler. Or no, that's not even a spoiler. It's quite a promo for this mid-season finale that airs tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on JLJ Media, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, and there's so many other channels that you can listen to forever and a day. But Aaron, where can people find you? What is your social media, if you have some?
Oh, yeah. Flip over to Instagram. It's Aaron Clark.
I love it. I will follow you. I will totally follow you after this. Casey, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Casey S. Hutch. And real quick, I just have to say congratulations to Candace Mack, who tonight is airing the 400th episode of her little soap opera chat fest, Soap Party 411. So
I know.
Congrats to her and her co-host.
You might actually hear a certain someone call in because a certain someone actually helped her in the very first episode. Isn't that crazy?
I remember that very first episode.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like you were listening to me and I didn't even know it. That's so crazy. Oh, wow.
It was the audition before the audition.
You are so silly. Oh, my gosh. Aaron, did you have a good time on Forever and Days After Show?
I did. Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, we
should do
appreciate
this more often.
We definitely should. And we definitely will. And Aaron, it was like a masterclass listening to you speak about your craft and the craft in the industry. And I love that. Casey, as always, I still think that you need to write for The Young and the Restless because they need you because you love soap so much. And I can see you going somewhere just so big. I had a vision. I don't know. You know, my vision.
Matthew,
like,
oh my God.
I did. Wow. I had a vision. Oh my God. I'm like, Raven Simone. No.
It's not even my birthday. And you're giving me so many compliments. Wow.
No.
It's been a long time since a man's complimented me, Matthew. You better watch out. Ooh.
Well, you should be expecting a lot more. Okay. And from all of us at JLJ Media, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Forever and a Day's Season 2 After Show. And don't forget to follow JLJ Media at JLJ Media and also Forever and a Day, the website, FAADseries.com. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.